How's it going, everybody? We're back again for another Mezcal Buzz Experience where we sit down with some really cool people. We have some cool conversations, and the best part is that we get to discover some new mezcales. I have today with me a very special guest, Myra Villa from Hacienda Oponguio. Myra, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. And yourself?
Great. I'm happy to have you here because Myra is the face of Hacienda Oponguio. Myra, you'll catch her at all kinds of events, doing different experiences. You'll find her on Instagram, Amigas y Mezcal. And there's a lot more to Myra that we're going to find out today as she tells us about the brand, right?
Yes, of course.
Cool. So we're going to taste 4 different mezcales from Hacienda Oponguio. And what do we have up first, Myra?
So our first one is going to be our Cupreata, and that's actually one of the first mezcales that we brought to the United States. Very unique. If you guys know about Cupreata, Cupreata grows mostly in Michoacán. Also, I believe part of Guerrero, but it's very unique. It's a wild agave. Takes about, I want to say, 12 to 14 years to mature, and it's a very good one.
Great. Let me pour one up for Jack. That would be good for a VO over that, right, Jack? Cool. I'd like to give it to Jack's. Cool. All right, and we'll put this back and we'll cheers. So it's as the Mezcal Cupreata.
Yes.
Okay. That's great. Right away when I pop the bottle open, like the aromas hit me very sweet. I get some spices from this one. And I like the lactic flavor that we get from a Cupreata from Michoacán. How would you describe your Cupreata?
I think it's kind of greenery. That's what I get. I'm not really good when people ask me, like, what do you taste? I'm more like, do I like it or not?
Yeah.
So,
And I think too, what's fair is like when people ask, it's fair to just think it's like, hey, it is what you taste, and not think that we're telling you or telling someone what they're gonna taste. It's a unique experience for everybody, right?
yes.
And so, as the face of Hacienda Oponguio, we know that it's a family brand. It's a family traditional mezcal that comes from Oponguio in Michoacán. Can you tell us a bit of what sparked this project?
Yes, of course. So, um, the whole idea of mezcal began with my great grandfather, Juan Manuel. He actually made mezcal, but back then, it wasn't really legalized. So it was just something that he would do for family, and for himself. So it kind of skipped a generation because my grandpa actually died very young. I was just talking to my dad about it like 2 days ago. He said he was about maybe like 29 or 30 when he passed. And the tradition kind of stopped there. And it was my uncle, Juan Manuel Mejia. So he's the owner of the brand. A lot of people think that I own the brand, my husband and I, but no, he's the owner of the brand. He was always very intrigued about mezcal, and he began, he found out my great grandpa used to make mezcal. So he found family recipes and, kind of wanted to take over the tradition. And he did. He began making mezcal, working with other maestros, mezcaleros, and just trying to figure out how to get it to the point that he liked. And that's what he did. So he's been making mezcal for the past 24 years. But that was not his business. Like that's just something like a hobby for him. And he was actually an avocado farmer. And he used to make a batch a year. Afterwards, like I remember growing up, he would always bring like his little bottle with no etiqueta, like no label. And he used to share it with family. And little by little, since he became, growing his business of avocado, he began gifting it to clients or friends or so on. And a lot of people liked it. And they were like, can we just have an extra bottle? Can we buy it off from you? But in those years that he didn't have like a name for the mezcal, he never sold a bottle. He would just gift them. And it was little by little that people were like, no, we want to buy it off of you. Like, you should make this an actual business. And he was convinced. Hacienda Oponguio, the name comes from San Jose de Oponguio, which is our family ranch, where we have an hacienda. And that's why it's Mezcal Hacienda Oponguio. And it was born in 2015. That's when he's like, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to find nice bottles. We're going to make them very unique. And that's what he did. I think it was maybe within like 3 years, 2 years, he actually asked my husband and I, because we lived here in LA, and he was just like, what do you guys want the help? And, I'm a mental health therapist. That's my actual job. And I couldn't say no. And my husband's like, you can never say no to things. I'm like, no. I mean, especially my uncle, like he's like my second dad. He's always been there growing up. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And, my husband and I, he's the brains of everything. Like he goes and looks for how to get a permit, how to do this. And, he's a little bit, it takes him a while to kind of open up to people, and I'm very like a social butterfly. So he got all the permits, we did them together, and we opened our importer and distributor here in California.
Cool. So, two questions. So, having, I imagine, no background or experience in importing or working with spirits. So, what was that like? Did you find help in people, or was it you guys doing a lot of research to really get that set up?
Yeah, it was really hard because we actually got everything approved by 2020. As we all know, 2020 hit and it was COVID, and it was really hard to go out and sell. Everybody was selling alcohol, but then taking on new brands was just very, very difficult. So I remember we started with 2 stores for like a whole year and a half. We only had our mezcal in 2 stores that opened up the door. And I think we didn't do the sell until maybe 2021. And I didn't know how to sell. Like I tell people I don't know how to sell. Like I just go out there and I talk about my family's mezcal, and it sells itself because it's a great product. Not because it's my family, but it's really good.
No, it is. It is.
And little by little, I started meeting people. I think I remember going to a first event with the tequila people, and I met a bunch of people. Like I met people, Everardo from Cabal. I met like others and he was the number one person I met first, and he was very helpful. Like he told us, okay, when you go sell, you don't go sell, you do this, you socialize and you go to events. And he kind of helped us a lot. And, then we started meeting other people in the community, and, they are wonderful. They help you. They're very open to, hey, I have this event. You want to come? Flor and Salvador are one of those people, So it's just amazing that the community has come through and they've been very open, and that's how it all started. So it was very difficult at the beginning. I think little by little, we kind of got the name to be recognized. We hustled. I used to go with my little backpack from store to store, sell, and they were like, yeah, we'll buy it. I'm like, I have it here. I'm the distributor. Let me take the order. So yeah, it's been a long journey, but I think slowly we're getting there.
Yeah, and you're still with it. So that's fantastic. What about, so when the demand was there and when it was around 2015, you said you guys built the Vinata in around that time. Was it 2020? Was it to meet more demand, or what sparked the growth of the Vinata?
I mean, it was both. It was just my uncle, like I said, he's always wanted to do things right. He always wanted to do something where people could come and visit. He wanted to have like that wonderful experience, because he said that he would go to Oaxaca a lot, and he will work with Maestros, Mezcaleros too around Michoacán. And, he wanted to have his own place. He wanted to have a place where he could call home, and a place where he knew how things were running. And, my cousin is actually the Maestro Mezcalero. So he's very involved. He doesn't, he tells me, I don't like to go out and sell, but I know I have to. He tells me, like, whenever I'm stressed out, like I go and I cut the quiotes. He's all like, that I love doing that. It takes my stress away. So having that just on our own place, like it was a whole idea of having the Vinata builder. I think they began before 2020 because they opened up in 2015, the brand. So I think it was maybe around that time. It took them a little while to make the Vinata, but that's when the Vinata was open, and it's there.
Nice. And I like the anecdote of going around and as a challenge to be a salesperson, but you said it a minute ago, like the product sells itself. It helps to have a fantastic tasting mezcal, a mezcal that's backed by a family history like this. I'm sipping on the Cupreata right now. Like I could smell it from here. It's very delicious. My mouth's already tingly. That's one of my favorite things from mezcales, is that that tingle, that numbing sensation. Let's taste something else on the lineup. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cool. Next we have. Can you tell us about this next
So
one?
the second one is the Inaequidens Seco. So for us, Inaequidens is mainly the main agave that we work with, aside from Cupreata, but Inaequidens is like it's our baby. So we actually Inaequidens, if you don't know what Inaequidens is, it grows mostly in Michoacán, and this is a wild agave, and it takes minimum 17 years to mature. And it could go all the way to 23 years. So it's a very unique agave that we have in Michoacán.
It's a lifetime.
Yes.
That's a life.
And if you see our bottles, before you put it back,
Mhm.
you could see the agave inside our bottles. So if you compare it to the other bottles, such as the Tequilana or so on, this is how the Inaequidens looks.
Nice. And so yeah, it's a beautiful bottle. It's hand blown glass. It's great design to it, but yeah, it has an inner label. So if you look inside of the bottle, you see what appears to be a pattern at first, but yeah, upon closer look, you see the Inaequidens back there.
Yes. So on the Seco, the unique part of it, well, the Inaequidens has a lot of flavors, and depends when you cut it. The story behind was that, and the story that I share is that it depends on the season they cut it, but because the seasons are changing, like the weather is changing and so on. I mean, the story behind it is that for the Seco, the agave grows under trees, so it doesn't get a lot of sunlight, and that's what makes it a little bit more of a dry taste, and that's why they called it Seco.
Okay.
We work with the same agave, and we actually the summer cut it's called Futal. It's a little bit more fruity floral, and then we started noticing that when my cousin started noticing that when he cuts in the winter, it has more like a herbal taste, herbal. So that's our winter mezcal. So it's very, very unique because same process, same mezcal. It's just when you cut it, and then the Seco is where it grows.
This smells great to me as well. Right now on the nose, I get like a green apple. I get florals. It's a very perfumey smell to me.
Cheers.
I like that. Cheers. Salud. Different, much different than what we just tasted. So we're already on a beautiful journey to start, right? So that's great. So let's talk a little bit about the process that Juan does in making the mezcales. There's fantastic mezcales that have excellent craftsmanship. They've won several awards, right? They've what are we looking at? San Francisco Spirit Award several years. The Brussels Award, which is amazing. What am I missing here? Because I know there's several awards, but
I think in California those have been it, and I know my cousin has entered them in different ones, but I can't recall every single one. But I know that for us the most important ones have been the San Francisco and the Brussels. That's that's how you pronounce it.
And or I think I also hear it pronounced Bruselas.
Yeah, Bruselas. Yeah, that's what he calls it.
And the I think Destilados de Mexico is another.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's was one of the first ones that was awarded to us before it came to the United States.
Great. So, can you tell us a little bit about the process, some of the unique features for the traditional process that Juan learned from your uncle, his father?
So we do use a ingrown oven, that's what I call it, and I sometimes confuse it because I speak Spanish, so then when I go to Michoacán they tell me like in Spanish, and then I have to translate it, and I'm like,
no, pero dinos en español también.
So el horno está en el piso, and it usually we cook the agave, and then we actually let it rest for a couple of days, I think 1 or 2 days. Afterwards, the fermentation takes place in wood, ollas de madera, and then we actually use the Filipino stills to distill it, and we do have 2 distillations.
Awesome.
Yes.
And your cousin learned from your tío, from your uncle? Did he work with him growing up, or what was the process like for, the generations of?
Yeah, I think at the beginning, my uncle, because, he was new at everything, he worked with the Maestro Mezcalero, which is the name of the Maestro that we have in some of the old bottles. But my cousin was always very, very involved. So he took on the whole process, and now he is actually the Maestro Mezcalero. I think our old Maestro Mezcalero wanted to open up his own mezcal because he saw that, mezcal was a big hit, and he actually went and did it on his own. He wanted to start his own brand. But my cousin said, I'm ready to take on, like, I've learned everything. And, he goes out to different states and just learns different things. And he likes to experiment too. One of the ones that we're going to have, which is a Pechuga, he made it on his own. And he said at the beginning he didn't like it, and, he gave it time and so on. So he's just very, very, that's his passion, and he loves it. He like I said, he doesn't like to sell. He likes to make mezcal.
And again, you said it earlier, it's not to be cliche, like it sells itself, and not just the mezcal itself being a wonderful product that we're tasting, but I got to meet Juan at Mezcal por Siempre, and I think of that event, I remember just talking to him a lot, and it was one of my favorite conversations. I even went back in because you're right, I could sense that passion from him. Like just hearing him, the way he described to me the process, and little things like I would ask him like, well, what have you noticed about the oven that you've made changes and stuff? And I remember he was telling me that they like would change the mortar that's inside of the stones because he would notice hot spots, and he would notice the hot spots because there was cracks and air was getting in. It causes combustion. And so all these little things that he importantly pays a lot of detail to and careful care, but but yeah, that passion's there. So that muchas felicidades, Juan, porque el producto está.
Yeah. And when people ask me about the process, like I'm more like I go in, I see it, and I learn every time from it because I'm not there all the time. But when he describes it, he just describes it, and he could go on to details. My husband too, Juan, both of them, and my uncle's Juan, so all of them are Juan.
Yeah, that's why we're like Juan,
Yeah.
Juan.
Yeah. So we have certain names, like we'll be Tío Juan, and then we'll call my cousin, they have a nickname Juancho, and then I call my husband Juan. So, but I mean, it's just, they're just.
Is that how we could identify too, right? Okay.
Oh, my cousin's name is Juan Manuel too, so we'll do the Tío Juan, Juan Manuel, and then the regular Juan.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, they're just, like you said, he's always there, he's present there, like he's always seeing how can he make it better, and how can he start off better. I mean, if you see the bottles, like for this one was an old bottle, which I love, but they had to find something that it was going to be just for them and unique, and that's how the Inaequidens are always in this kind of bottle. And just if we do any ensembles, that's the bottle that you will see. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then another question. So with the different seasons of the mezcales production, are you guys producing mezcal year round?
We are. Yeah, we are. Yeah. What the Inaequidens, I heard, is a little bit of more, it's a lot of more work. But then he's also incorporated other mezcales. When we first started, we only had Cupreata and Inaequidens. Now we have extended. I started with 4. Now we have about 12, I think. So we have ensembles, but he also works with the new one that he's working with is the Tequilana. And before that one, he actually brought the Espadín. So something unique is that these agaves grow in Michoacán. Or I think he also bought some from Guanajuato, but it's just usually it's around Michoacán and we grow our own agaves as well. But since we didn't have any Espadín at the beginning, he was buying it. So now they harvest the agave, the Espadín, and the Tequilana. Mm-hmm.
So the Espadín that you guys have now has been harvested and interpreted. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Can we move on to the next one? Mm-hmm. And the Espadín, is it called Bruto?
The Inaequidens is called Alto or Bruto.
Okay.
The Espadín is Angustifolia.
Okay.
Yeah, so he uses usually the scientific names. And if you see in our bottles, he'll go for Angustifolia, but then the little tag has the Espadín. And then the Inaequidens is also known as Alto or Bruto.
Cool. And so this one's a very cool and unique project, right? Tell us about this ensemble here.
So this ensemble is very special and very unique. When my cousin actually told me that he was going to start making mezcal with agave tequilana. I thought that it was amazing. And the first person that I thought about was Pepe and Ale from LA Tequila Club. And I shared my I always get like great ideas. sometimes
She does.
sometimes I get scared of actually going through with my ideas because I get a lot of good ideas. But I was just like, why don't I present it to Pepe and Ale and see if they will like to actually, do something special, like a special batch. And Pepe is like, tell me more. That was his answer. And I was like, okay. So my cousin's making mezcal. He is actually doing a tequilana, which is already done. But I don't know, like, would you want to do a special batch? And he's all like, okay, what else is he doing? And he's all like, do you think, because he loves Inaequidens. And he's all like, what about an ensemble of Inaequidens and tequilana? And I'm like, well, that was his idea. So both of them had the same idea. And Pepe's like, but I want to go. Like, I want to go to Oponguio and I want to be part of the process. And I'm like, amazing. Let's work on it. And I remember I started our WhatsApp chat and I was like, hey, Juan Manuel, this is Pepe. Pepe, this is Juan Manuel. This is my idea. What do you guys think? And my cousin's like, let's do it. Like he heard so much from Pepe because I always talk to him and let him know like this is what we're going on. This is the people that have been supporting us. We're doing this event and so on. So he knew who Pepe was. They connected. That actually the dates work for both of them. And yeah, Pepe actually went to Michoacán and he was part of the whole process of making this ensemble.
Awesome. And one of the really cool things that as I was following along with Pepe, the process, he documented it really well. They had long nights. And one of the things that was particular is that the Hacienda oversees El Lago de Pátzcuaro, right?
Yes.
Very iconic lake. It has a pueblo mágico near there. So you guys are in a really beautiful location that already in of itself attracts tourism. How has that been having the hacienda there, and is it open for people to visit?
Yes, absolutely. So Pátzcuaro is a pueblo mágico. So Pátzcuaro has the lake of Pátzcuaro, and our Vinata is, well, the Vinata is right in front of it. So it's a beautiful view. Not because I'm from Michoacán, but Michoacán is beautiful. It's very greenery. And, the view is amazing. Anytime you go, morning, middle of the night, or even the night, the moon is beautiful. It is open to the public, so anybody could come. Sometimes people message me. I do have access to Hacienda Oponguio, but sometimes they'll message me directly, and I'm able to make sure my cousin is there because it's. I mean, my aunt works there, my uncle. It's all family. But just the passion, what he explains, and the process and the tour, it's really fun. So yeah, anybody's welcome to come. It's open actually 7 days a week, and I believe the times is 10 to 6. But you could always double check on the Google app when you look for the Vinata. We have a website, so you could also do that. And yeah, but it's open to the public.
And what's that like when someone goes? I mean, is there an official experience that someone could go to, or is it just open because you guys, as you mentioned, produce year round, so someone could come see some part of the process? But is there?
Yeah, they could do tasting. So they do the experience of the tasting. I mean, if you're lucky, they'll probably have like they're making mezcal. But if they don't, they still have the horno. They still have like they'll walk you through the vinata and they'll tell you like the process. So yeah, it's either or, like, and they do have tastings every day, so you're able to, and then they have some food and so on, so you get the whole experience. And I mean, Oponguio is beautiful. It's still like it's a ranchito, and it's not too far from Quiroga, where if you're not from Michoacán, Quiroga is actually one of the, I want to say, the best place to have carnitas, which is 15 minutes away. And it's actually about 45 to an hour away from Morelia, which is where when people go to Michoacán, they land usually in Morelia. And also Pátzcuaro is about 45 minutes. And Pátzcuaro is beautiful. Actually, some people don't know, but I was born here, but when I was 5, My dad wanted to go back to Michoacán, and I lived there for 5 years. So I went to school there from first to fifth grade in Batácaro. And Oponguio has always been like our family place. We used to spend Christmas there, and it's beautiful.
That sounds fantastic. And it's something you mentioned earlier that your uncle would visit places in Oaxaca often and see like the attraction to Oaxaca, right? But as you explain this to me right now, I feel like there's a beautiful attraction to Pátzcuaro, to Hacienda Oponguio, and an experience just in the way Myra was explaining it right now. I'm imagining like, it might be cool to go in October and into November, the Dia de los Muertos, which has a very famous celebration there. And as you mentioned, El Pueblo Mágico de Pátzcuaro. And in Michoacán, what was the other part that you...
Quiroga, and then there's also Janitzio. Janitzio is island, and it has, I mean, if you could think about the Statue of Liberty, they have a statue there that you actually walk all the way up, and that actually is the place where the Dia de Muertos takes place, and they light candles on the lake, and it's so pretty. Like, I remember my mom was never a big fan of Dia de los Muertos, so living there, like, we didn't do the whole, but now I want to go back and experience it, because November is a beautiful month to go, but also in January, February, when the mariposa monarcas, so the butterflies, they go to Michoacán, and they stay there for about, I think, 2 months. And that's another experience you could have also if you visit Michoacán.
See, are you guys hearing this? We're sleeping on it. What are you talking about?
Yes.
That's awesome. So is there any dates or trips? You guys did one last year, I think?
We did one last year and the year before. This year, I think one of the focuses is that they're opening up other markets, other places, other countries that my cousin is actually exploring. And we didn't have too much time to plan. I also have like personal stuff going on that this year is going to make it a little hard for us to do the trip. But yeah, I want to continue doing a yearly trip where we invite people to just come and visit the Vinata. And when you go with someone that you kind of see on social media and you become familiar with, you feel a little more, visiting a place that you don't know. We like to give that experience to the people, so they feel like, they go with a group, they feel comfortable, and they get to experience like other places. So yeah, definitely we will continue doing them, just not this year, maybe next year. Okay. For sure.
But you guys, you heard it's open year round. So if you can make a trip, I think this is a new hotspot to check out for mezcal and things, right? So that's awesome. We didn't cheers to...
Oh, I'm sorry. Ya me lo acabé.
Yeah? Oh, no, yo me lo...
Salud.
This was the Ensemble.
Yes.
Continuing on this journey, each one is significantly different. This one, the flavors were softer to me in this one. Like if it was like a roller coaster, we went down the roller coaster. Now we're like on a coast on one of the turns. I got the florals. What did I get in the beginning? What did you get? Here I am trying to... What ABV is this actually too?
This one I believe is 46.
6.
Yeah, I think all of our mezcal are 46. The secos at 47, and we began doing mezcal at 53. But we'll talk about those later.
Yeah, that's coming up. Let's cheers to the next mezcal.
Let's do it.
Cool. That was a cool section. This is this one, right?
Yes.
Tell us about this Pechuga.
Yes, this is a Pechuga. So this one is very, very unique because usually when I've had Pechugas in the past, they're usually made with Agave, Espadín. And however, our Pechuga is made with Agave-Inaequidens. And it has chicken breast, which it's so funny because my cousin actually grew the chicken at Hacienda Oponguio, at our Vinata. And it has...
Did it have a name?
I don't think so. We don't name... My husband tells me we don't name... I always named all our animals, but I don't think they named them, or him or her. So it also has cinnamon, cacao, and anise. And I am very big on cinnamon and cacao. So I think when I first had it, I actually have it at home and I've been talking about it. I have this one at 67 ABB. And the flavors are just so good. I'm almost halfway the bottom. My husband's like almost, he's told me, you need to stop.
Ah, this smells beautiful.
What do
I
you
smell
smell?
right away. I smell the spices. I smell anise.
Hmm.
I smell. It smells green to me. To me, it smells almost like manzanilla, like chamomile,
Okay.
like a tea.
And what is so unique is that once you taste it, you taste so different from what you smell.
And that's I haven't tasted it yet, but that's an interesting trait of the different mezcales to me. Sometimes you'll get the aromas and they'll translate right away, like, yeah, this is what I smell. And then sometimes they set you up and like psych you out, and you'll like right now I'm looking forward to this taste because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they just taste upside down from what you were smelling, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cheers.
Salud. Cheers.
Sorry. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Christmas,
Mm,
like ponche.
like ponche, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So does that create like a nostalgic feeling when you is that why that's such a special bottle for you?
Yes, it is. I mean, Christmas is one of my favorite holidays. I think growing up in Mexico was one of my favorite. Here, when I came back, like, it's been all about gifts and so on. But this takes me back to when I used to live in Mexico. And we used to go to the Hacienda and we used to have our parties there. We all had a room that we stayed on. So we were there the whole night. And it reminds me of the posadas. It reminds me of all that beautiful culture from Mexico.
That's awesome. It's beautiful to hear you say that because of all the mezcales that we taste and all the beautiful mezcales that have different flavors and aromas. One of the most beautiful things is there's going to be one that's going to speak to you in a way. And it comes through that memory, those sensations that it triggers. Ale had a beautiful way of explaining that in the last podcast, but the way you're explaining those sensations in this one,
Yeah.
it's clear that that's the one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is very special. Mexico holds a very special place in my heart. And I think it's because I lived there. Like I tell people, I feel like I'm from Mexico. Yo soy mexicana. I think the most beautiful memories are from Mexico that I have, and I think for me, mezcal, that's what it is. Like it reminds me of my culture. My dad's family is all in Mexico, and it reminds me of my family. It reminds me of being connected to, even though I didn't meet my grandfather or my great grandfather. It just has that connection for me, and that's what mezcal is for me. Definitely.
I love that.
Hmm.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Myra. That's on that note, on the way that mezcal represents this to you, and I think to a lot of us and many other people share that sentiment. What does, how has sharing experiences and these feelings been as far as community goes? Mezcal brings the community together as the mezcal community, but also local communities, right? Like, how important is this community to Hacienda Oponguio, and how important is it to Myra?
I think it's everything. I think if it wasn't for the community, for the people that I've met through mezcal, we wouldn't be where we're at. I think just meeting people that are not, and that's what I like about the mezcal community, that they are not afraid of sharing. Something that I heard when I began my journey with mezcal in the community is that there's a place for everyone. Every mezcal is different. Every family has their own story. Everything's so unique, and I think it's not a competition. I think, and I'm glad I came across those people because it made me see the world different, and it made me see that it is not a competition. Like everybody has its own place at its own time, and it's at their own pace.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna go. Sometimes I get a little frustrated because it's not my everyday job to go and sell mezcal, but I feel things come at its right pace. And, I have a lot of faith. I believe in God. And I feel like, that's also big. Like it's going to come, we're small, we're little, but I feel like everything and all my hard work and my husband and my uncles, everybody's work, even the people that are working in the Vinata is going to slowly pay off and the doors are going to open when they have to open.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's fantastic that you say that because I also noticed that too, that like it's not just a product, it's not a competition like you said, how you would think in other industries and other aspects like, oh, someone's getting better here or something. Like it's legit like other brands help other brands. It's like the culture is what's flourishing here. I think a beautiful example is like you just celebrated a birthday a
Yes.
couple months, right? We got to
Yes.
be at your surprise, which was a beautiful
My
thing.
40th birthday, I've been waiting for it for a long
Salud.
time.
Yeah.
Salud.
But yeah, I saw how the community put that together and the community was there to celebrate that. It was a special event. There was, eh, bartenders were there that we follow, influencers, other brands. Flor did a great job too. That's who reached out to me like this is happening, like,
Yes.
and then being there and seeing that take place. I think that's another example of
Yeah.
what you just talked about.
And I mean, I went to Mazatlan. I told people I want my 40th birthday to have banda, my family, and good drinks and good food. And, we had an experience with my mom when she celebrated her 60th birthday. And I remember the party was just going to start. And my dad was there. I was there. And I was so tired. And my dad was like, we could have been at the beach with a margarita or with a good mezcalito, with a good beer, like whatever they wanted to drink. I would have stayed for their whole week. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I want to celebrate my 40th birthday doing that. And when I told the girls that were like, Christina and Flora were like, what are you going to do for your 40th? I know you've been talking about it. I'm like, I'm going to go away. They're like, no, no, no. We need to celebrate you.
Oh,
And they put it all together. Like they're like, just give us a list of the people you want to be there. We'll invite the ones. They're like, are you okay with? I'm like, invite whoever you want. Like, I thought it was just gonna be like one or two tables. I get there, and there's like the whole section from Madre, and there was a photo booth. There was like, I was like, oh my goodness, they were even giving like little plans as people to take as a
yes.
party favors. They even got keychains, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, how much do I owe you? Like, what? They're like, no. They're like, we got you. Ivan from Madre opened up the doors for his restaurant. They did a special menu with my name. I was just like, wow, like, this is amazing. Like, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the community. I love how it just, we think about each other, we help each other out. And, it's been situations where like, oh, this new restaurant open. Who went? I went. Myra, go. This person, this day, the person's there that buys mezcal or whatever it is. And it's just such a beautiful community.
That's awesome, and it seems like there's countless examples of how that is, and also it leads to other projects, it leads to other opportunities, as you were saying earlier, and you're right because you dropped a seed in my head too. You have great ideas out of that. I mean, one of the examples is you're one of the halves of Amigas y Mezcal, another cool project that stems, beyond the brand and other things you're doing. Tell us about that.
Yes. So when I began this journey, my husband, he's like I said, he's the brains to everything. It takes him a while to kind of open up and, just speak up. I'm a social butterfly. Like I meet you one day and I feel like we're best friends since forever. And that's just my personality. So when we started doing these events, he was like, no, you go, like you speak, you talk. And I'm like, okay. I mean, like I said, I have a really bad memory. Sometimes I forget details, but he's there. And I remember going on top of, in front of people, and I was always the only girl, like for a while. Like I was the only one going up there sharing about my family's mezcal and so on. But I would always see a man talking about their family brand, but there was always the wife, the girlfriend, somebody, it was a girl always next to them. And I was just like, that's just no, like, why can't women just speak up? And because of our culture, like, our culture always tells us, like, women no toman, you don't drink, you stay on this side, you stay quiet. And I was like, no. And then the women that I would meet, they were so powerful. So I'm like, no, we need to, like, and I would get excited every time I saw, like, somebody that enjoyed mezcal, a girl that enjoyed mezcal. So I'm like, no, this needs to change. I got the idea of Amigas and Mezcal. So that's how the Amigas and Mezcal idea came all about. But then, I was busy. another thing is I have 3 kids. They're little kids, and that takes a lot of my time as well. I'm a mom first. So my friend Christina, I kind of told her my idea, and she's like, let's do it. So the first event I did by myself. I did it at home. I invited Ernie from Liquid Courage, and Mochi also came. And they made cocktails. My friends were always like, we'll come to your events, but they will never come because they don't really like mezcal. They didn't know what mezcal was. And I did an event, invited about 40, 50 girlfriends, and they made cocktails for the first hour. My mom cooked food.
Cool.
People brought stuff, and I had it at home. They came, we had a tasting, then we presented Hacienda Oponguio, and I was like, but I don't want this to be just about Hacienda Oponguio. Like, I want other people to get involved. I want other people to do these kind of events. So then I'm like, let's do these events in restaurants. Let me team up with other girls. So that's how I team up with Flor. I team up with Roxy. And I think Fernanda did one event with us. And that's where I actually met you in one of our events. You came and we actually presented all the women, like the women were the presenters. It was Salvadores. It wasn't Salvador. It was Flor for the first time. And Roxy did it for Ramba. And we just had a great event. And from there, it opened up doors to other places. We did other things with the brands. And it's just, it opened a lot of doors for us. So it was really cool to see just a bunch of, and then the first event, it was only girls, and a lot of the guys got a little jealous. They were like, why can't we come? So then the next events, we kind of opened it up to both genders, and they actually, the women presenting were actually, just girls presenting the mezcal.
Cool. And it also extends to, you guys do a series of live interviews.
Yes. So we do a live every other Monday. We began just by actually talking about our first event with Amigas y Mezcal, and then we started having different brands reaching out. So we just don't focus on mezcal. We also do tequila and any Mexican spirits out there. So we've been pretty consistent. Every 2 weeks we get brands there, or we get like people that work for the community. And yeah, it's fun.
Very cool. And other events coming up that we could look forward to. You just finished a breathwork event.
So we did a sound bath. Yes, we did a sound bath, and along with mezcal and tequila tasting, and it went pretty well. We had a good turnout, and we just want. I think last year we had so many events going on. And a lot of them felt like they were unique on their own way, but they felt like it was the same thing. Like you would just go to the table and taste. And I kind of felt like I want to bring new people as well. Education, I think, is so important and so vital that we want to do experiences that are very unique and very different. So we started a week ago, and we did the sound bath along with mezcal and tequila tasting.
Explain that to me. Well, explain to us a sound bath for those that might not know. I'm familiar with the sound bath, but what's a sound bath, and how did you correlate the two?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm a mental health therapist. And I actually began doing sound baths at work for the students that I work with. So I felt like, our brain is always just thinking and just moving, and just, it doesn't stop. So meditation is really important. And I kind of wanted to bring that along with the Agave community, and the idea of a sound bath. I mean, you use instruments, and you just kind of lay there, meditate, and you allow your body to just take all that in. It helps you a lot to just kind of take a moment to just relax. And afterwards, we're like, why not do a tasting? So we did. We did 3 different brands. It was Hacienda Oponguio, Salvadores, and we also did Valor. So we actually did the event. It was a good turnout. And like I said, we want to move on to doing different experiences. And we're going to have another one coming up pretty soon. It's going to be next month, April 12th. And we are going to have a tour of agaves. So my idea was that we want to just talk about and present like different states that have different representation of agave spirits. So we so far we have a few brands. We're looking into more. So we have Hacienda Oponguio representing Michoacán. We have Salvadores representing Oaxaca. Myra Milumbres, they're going to represent Durango. And we're looking into other brands. We'll announce soon, but we want to get about maybe 2 or 3 more brands, and we are going to do something very unique, very special.
Fantastic. So if you're watching this, it's probably a couple weeks or days away. April 12th will be this event.
Yes.
Tour of Mexico, you called it?
No, Tour of Agaves.
Tour of Agaves.
Yes.
With the different states that have are producing mezcales.
Mezcal, we want to bring not only mezcal but also tequila. Maybe we're thinking about canora, sotol. So we're seeing. Cool. Yes, it's still in the works. But by the time we get there, it's almost like a month away.
Great. Well, that's a lot. I feel like we got a very cool understanding into Hacienda Oponguio, but also into Myra and who you are and what you bring to this world, right? To this world of mezcal, but also I've learned a lot here. I think this would be great to maybe we could finish off with a toast.
Sure. Do you want to do the last one?
Tell us about this. This is a special bottle here.
Very special. So again, talking about a woman that, encourage each other and support each other. This was actually our first special batch, and we did it with Lewis Liquor. I remember reaching out to Lucy and saying, hey, we don't have any special batches, and we will want to we want to do it with someone special. And I reached out to her, and this is actually very unique. It's a Frutal. This has been rested in glass for 2 years, and also it's a Frutal at 53 ABV. So it's our only 53 ABV here in the United States. Like I said, my cousin started producing now the 53 ABV in Seco, Frutal, and Herbal. But this is the only one we have here. But this one, the unique part is that it's been resting in glass for 2 years. And something special about Hacienda Oponguio is that I asked my cousin why, but he just says that's just his preference. Our mezcal never touches plastic. Our mezcal is always, if it's rested, it's resting in glass.
Excellent. Yeah. So in the production process, so when it's being distilled, it's going into glass containers, and then it's being stored in glass. A lot of times we'll see plastic, food grade plastic containers that are used, but so it never touches plastic, goes to glass. And I saw a post the other day of like a room that was shared, and there was like a lot of glass containers, and some continued to be rested. So this is rested
in glass for 2 years. 2 years, yeah.
53% ABV. Yes. So can we find this now at Louis Liquor?
Yes, we only, I think there was about 120 bottles made. I know she still has some, but it's very unique, and like I said, it's the only one that we have here at 53 ABV, and it's a great collaboration. Lucy's always been the biggest supporter ever, and I was so happy when she said yes to making this special batch.
And shout outs to Louis Liquor. I think you could find a lot of special batches that Louis has at their location, right? With other brands as well that you could, it's the Louis, look for the Louis Liquor sticker.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Cool. All right. I love that. Myra, thank you for joining me today on the Mezcal Buzz Experience. I learned a lot. This was a pleasure to have this conversation with you. And for you guys out there, as always, thank you for watching. And we're going to end with this. Cheers.
Salud.
Salud.
Cheers.